All right, the first step in with removing the lower end is you have to put the lower end up. So that way you can get to the bolts. And you can get them off. So I want to see what's under this plug. I don't think I have to pull it off. I don't think I do. I think that's just for that. So I know you got 2 bolts here, and you got 2 bolts on the other side. And I got 1 bolt under that. So give me a few minutes here and I'll figure out where all the bolts are and I'll tell you guys. All right. So you don't need to pull that out, that can stay. So you have there, oops, sorry guys, there. You're gonna have to pull this off to get up in there and get that one off, because there's one straight up in there that you can see if you pull that plug out. But when you pull that off, then you can get in there to get to it. And then of course you have these 2 on this side that you have to pull off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some sockets out so we can pull this stuff apart and get some wrenches so we can get them off there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and remove your zinc on the bottom. Have a good idea of where it is. Mine's favoring right in line of this in here because it's cupped. So that way you can try to put it on about where it was for steering. Because you can rotate it around to a point. So if you don't have an idea of where it was, you're gonna have steering issues and you'll have to tweak it and rotate it around. So that's off. Then I guess it's got a little, that's the plastic piece. So your zinc bolt's on, plastic piece sits there and blocks it. So while you have it off, you can go ahead and clean that screen. I'm just gonna go ahead and set my parts there for now. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get that nut off next. If I can get my socket off my ratchet. There we go. See if this is the right size for that. I think it is. Yep, it seems like it is. We're gonna go ahead and pull that nut off up there. So that way we can get that nut off. And then get that off and out of the way. And I'll have to figure out the shifter. So the next thing, I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting the rest of these nuts out. I'm gonna leave one of these just hand tight until I get to the point of taking the shifter off. So up in there you have a washer and a nut. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this on time lapse, take out the other 4 bolts. Alright guys, the other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get the oil draining on this because I'm going to pull this lower end apart. So we're going to talk about how to drain the oil. So you have a vent hole up here, which you can go ahead and get loose. Hopefully the bottom comes loose like that. Surprisingly it came loose. You might need a impact screwdriver, which might work better. So we're just going to go ahead and pull them plugs out. And it's got nice clean gear oil in it, which is good, but we're gonna go ahead and just let it all drain out, and I'll put fresh gear oil in it when I put it back together. And we don't want to lose the seals because I'm hoping to reuse them. So seems like it's stuck pretty well. So we're just gonna go ahead and let that drain while I keep taking out bolts to pull it off. Alright guys, we're going to talk about pulling the prop off. I was just thinking about this. We're going to pull the prop off. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. The first thing that you have to do is bend these tabs down out of the way so you can get this nut off. So we're going to go ahead and figure out the socket too. Okay. So once you bend the tabs back, you have to find the appropriate socket to fit your nut. In this case, this happens to be a 15/16. It's got a pretty good fit on it. You can use a ratchet and do it too. I just happen to have an impact handy. And you just spin the nut off. So once your nut's off, you should be able to pull your prop hopefully off like so. And don't lose your lock tab. Don't lose your nut. Try not to get grease on your boat like I just did. And then pull your, if that wants to come off, you could pull that off. In this case, it's stuck and I need to get it off. So we're gonna work on trying to get that off like so. So there we go. We're just gonna set that all on the prop so I don't lose it. So that's how you pull your prop off. And you reinstall it in the same fashion. You put the spacer on, put the prop on, put the retainer on, put the nut on, torque it down to whatever the engine manufacturer calls for, and then bend your tabs to hold the nut on, or bend the tabs for the nut. So that's how you put your prop on and off. Now with this, okay, now that I got everything almost ready to drop down, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect the shift linkage, which is here. So we're gonna break the bottom jam nut loose, and then we should just be able to hopefully thread this up and get it disconnected, because this is the old style. New style is just kind of different. It kind of pushes in, I think, and you don't have to do anything. So we're gonna see if we can get that disconnected and all. It's a 10 mil wrench, so I was able to get it broke loose. We're just gonna go ahead and unscrew the top nut here. I'll bring this down so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I already broke the bottom nut loose, so it's actually kind of tight. There we go. Now it's broke loose. So I just broke it loose pretty much. It's pretty much where it was, so that way shifting stays where it was. So we're just gonna go ahead and unscrew it. It's pretty much bottomed out on mine. So you just keep screwing that up. And then there we go, we're disconnected now. So now, let's set this camera back up here so you guys can watch. We're gonna go ahead and pull the lower end off. Get it focused, maybe. There we go, we got it focused. So we have just this one nut holding it, which is hand tight. Go ahead and unscrew that. Before I completely do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and put these plugs back in. I pulled the plugs out because I was draining it. I'm just gonna try to keep the oil, whatever oil is left in there, so I don't make too big of a mess. So I got to put new seals in it, which will be covered in another video. We're also going to talk about water pump install in another video too. So okay, so now we got them in there. So we can go ahead and set them there. And then we should just be able to grab this and hopefully kind of just break it loose. Give it a couple of rocks, some wiggles. It's kind of stuck here. It's coming a little bit. Just corrosion around the mounting studs. Give it a couple taps and there we go. And that's how we remove the lower end to do the water pump.